Within this pulsating infrastructure, the structural priorities of sovereign nations are being superseded by a private, supranational network. Sociologists have a term for this: hyperagency, the capacity for a single, ultra-wealthy entity to unilaterally set global agendas. Operating through a meticulously integrated constellation of organizations, Bill Gates has constructed a model of governance that overrides established international institutions. He is the preeminent, unelected architect of modern global policy. This chart of the World Health Organization's budget shows a fundamental shift. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Gates Foundation has injected over $1.4 billion, making it the agency's primary financial engine. This funding arrives as voluntary contributions, which are strictly earmarked for specific donor-defined projects. It transforms the UN's health body from an independent directing authority into a technical contractor executing the strategic priorities of a foundation in Seattle. Global health sovereignty has moved away from democratic ministries and towards a centralized triad of public-private partnerships. The agility of private capital has established a system of planetary management that remains structurally insulated from democratic accountability. This model relies on technocratic solutionism, the dogmatic assumption that historically rooted crises are resolved through proprietary technological innovations rather than structural political reform. In 2009, the Gates-subsidized NGO PATH launched an HPV vaccine project in rural India. By designating the trial a demonstration project, the organization successfully bypassed the rigorous safety monitoring and regulatory protocols mandated by the Indian Parliament. Informed consent protocols were entirely subverted. Parents in marginalized areas were coerced into providing thumbprints without comprehending the experimental nature of the injections. 7 girls died, and thousands more were treated as test subjects without their families' full understanding. A parliamentary committee later accused the project of acting as a clandestine marketing agent. Philanthropy was utilized as a Trojan horse to generate data for manufacturers, prying open the Indian market while circumventing sovereign oversight. This strategy extends to the planetary biosphere. In 2006, the foundation launched the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, or AGRA. While AGRA funding rose over 15 years, undernourishment increased by 30%. Yield stagnated. Traditional seed exchange was replaced with expensive proprietary seeds, forcing farmers into inescapable cycles of debt when harvests fail. In the United States, a similar consolidation is underway. Bill Gates has acquired 275,000 acres of prime agricultural land, establishing himself as the nation's largest private landowner. This ownership provides a foundation for vertical integration, acquiring land for monoculture feedstocks, funding synthetic meat startups, and suppressing traditional livestock, allows a single entity to execute a monopolistic enclosure. This bifurcated global strategy completely dismantles independent food sovereignty. It replaces local ecological resilience with a corporate supply chain accountable only to its private trustees. The engineering ethos has now reached the atmosphere. Through Harvard's SCOPEx experiment, Gates funded solar radiation management, the concept of dimming the sun to artificially cool the planet. This creates an unprecedented global security dilemma. A private citizen now possesses the capacity to influence the global thermostat, potentially disrupting the Indian monsoon or triggering decadal droughts in the Sahel. On the ground, the foundation is exporting the Modular Open Source Identity Platform, or MOSIP. This digital public infrastructure framework allows developing nations to construct centralized biometric identity databases. These platforms link biological markers, like irises and fingerprints, directly to digital financial access and personal health records. In nations lacking robust legal frameworks, this architecture subordinates civil liberties to technocratic efficiency. Technocratic solutionism effectively reduces human populations and the Earth's atmosphere to mere variables within a proprietary engineering experiment. How does a supranational infrastructure of this scale operate without a single democratic check? Flight logs and unredacted emails confirm that Bill Gates maintained a sustained relationship with Jeffrey Epstein beginning in 2011, 3 full years after Epstein's conviction and incarceration for soliciting a minor. This relational map reveals the mechanics of the collaboration. Epstein utilized the world's most prominent philanthropist for reputation laundering. In return, the association granted the Gates Foundation access to elite transnational circles of capital and influence. This nexus illustrates the shadow influence of hyperagency. Immense, unregulated capital creates a dual-tiered global system where a single private individual can engineer the survival parameters of nations while remaining entirely immune to public scrutiny. The depth of this collaboration was detailed in the 2011 Project Molecule document, which circulated among Gates, Epstein, and senior executives at J.P. Morgan. The proposal outlined a $100 billion fund designed to structurally financialize pandemic response. It included a foreign private charitable foundation in a tax-neutral jurisdiction to guarantee perpetual operation and donor anonymity. While investigators in the UK have moved toward the arrest of elite enablers for misconduct in public office, the American legal apparatus has prioritized the containment of these scandals. Federal court records show a systemic judicial architecture designed to shield the wealthiest enablers from criminal consequences. The architecture of capture is complete. Technocratic solutionism has bypassed democratic oversight, replacing it with a privatized system of global governance that treats human life as an engineering problem to be solved with proprietary products. Accountability has been replaced by the insulation of absolute wealth.